Hi everybody, it's Nexus and welcome to Making Culture. Today I wanted to take a minute and talk about some of the larger stuff about making culture, and because while the first arc has been all about bokashi and centered in fermentation, in fact, point of fact, making culture is a lot larger than that. It's a lot larger than just fermentation. You know, we humans, we're organisms, and we are inextricably part of the earth that we evolved from. The way we evolved, the way life evolves on this planet in the primordial soup era, is that these small organelles, these simple cells, come together, finding that cooperation makes for longer lifespans, right? So even today, inside our cells, every single cell in our body, there's a separate organelle that totally has its own set of DNA and RNA. It is an alien being, right? Inside each one of our cells, and it works as a powerhouse making energy for us to live. Meanwhile, our cells break down the sugars, which give it more energy to then transfer everything over and make our energy. I don't even remember how it works anymore. Please forgive me. It's been 25 years since I was in college. I took college bio. But basically, mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell, is a different organism than the rest of our cells. And it's something that now has co-evolved with us. There's this thing that I always think about. Humans, you know, we live in landscapes and we shape the landscapes we live in, just the same way that wasps make paper nests, right? They make hives and birds make nests, and lions mark out their territory and their prides. Humans make gardens, and we make cities, and we make towns, and we clump together and we cluster together, or we move together through the landscape and alter it in a different way. Nomadic peoples alter landscape in a very different way than settled peoples do, but both kinds of humans alter the landscape as they move through it. And in some ways, that's our function. We think of ourselves as some kind of external, extra smart, separate being, but in fact, we're just a bunch of monkeys that lost their hair and developed a real knack for tool making. So, in that light, making culture is kind of what we do. We're these complex multicellular organisms where a lot of competing organisms teamed up together and differentiate themselves into systems that work together to make us function, right? So since we're doing it anyway, and for some weird reason we seem to have this ability for tools and an ability for reflection and self-conscious reflection and understanding on a slightly higher level than a wasp, we should make culture, we should make movement, we should move through this landscape, through this earth, through this world, through our time of being in a more conscious way. We should make culture instead of just leaving it like a spore trail. Now, I mentioned agriculture, and agriculture is a big part of culture. If you think about it, you kind of don't get... Oh, I'm so sorry. See, I'm sitting on my yoga bench. But, so agriculture is a major marker of every kind of culture, right? Like, that's how we think of, you know, what is Western civilization without the rise of agriculture. Agriculture is what fuels the feudal states, it is what fuels economies, and it is literally what feeds the world. Nomadic peoples usually have herds, or they're hunter-gatherers, and so they're moving through the landscape in a different way and performing agriculture in a different way. But we're American. I'm an American. I live in New York City, and I don't have a choice in some ways about certain kinds of agriculture, right? But where I do have a choice is whether I choose to purchase commercially farmed agriculture or locally farmed agriculture. Now, there are certain things that I can't get locally. For example, citrus doesn't grow here in the Northeast yet. I believe in the next 20 years it will, and certainly in Manhattan in the next 5, and certainly in my apartment on the windowsills it does. And I'll talk about that some other time. But there are things that I have, if I want to consume them, I have to purchase. I don't have the budget to purchase them from sustainable small farms. There are people in New York City who do. So I get, citrus from places like Costco. But when it comes to my daily vegetables, or when I want to make larger batches of things such as jam, chutney, herbal medicines, I definitely prefer to buy local produce. And in New York City, there's a lot of ways to buy local produce. I'm going to talk a little bit about them in the retail way, but mostly I'm going to discuss in the wholesale way, because I do a lot of wholesale purchasing, particularly during the pandemic. So, retail local produce, the best source for that is definitely Grow NYC's green markets. Full disclosure, I worked for them for 6 years. I was a market manager, and then I ran a program called Fresh Food Box Program, which is a CSA style food buying program. And I also was like a member of other real CSA, regular CSAs prior to that. So that to me is like those two programs, Green Market, their farm stand programs, and their food box programs are all great ways to get locally grown, retail priced produce. They accept EBT, and I recommend you go to the website grownyc.org and navigate that, and you'll find all kinds of resources. There's over 50 green markets in the city, plus another dozen farm stands and another now 30 fresh food boxes. So there's plenty of ways there. Now they also have their hub program, which is their Green Market Co., which is their wholesale program. I as an individual will often purchase things wholesale from them in order to stock my home, or for, like I said, larger projects. So in terms of flour, for example, during the earlier part of the pandemic, when there was a big flour shortage, I was not short of flour because I had bought a 25-pound bag of locally milled flour for $25 from Green Market Co. I had them deliver it to a local fresh food box, which is where I get my retail vegetables every other week. And I went and I picked it up and I put it in my rolly bag and I took it on the bus and brought it home. And I keep it in a big plastic sealing container that's usually used for pet food. I take a smaller amount of it, 5 pounds at a time, let's say, and put it into a small container. And then I still have all this stuff. And that flour is so much cheaper than what you would get locally. So it is organic. It is stone ground. Even though I get the white all-purpose flour, it still retains much more of the germ and a lot more things. It's got this lovely sort of cream color to it. And it was $25. It was $26.25 for 25 pounds, which is much, much cheaper than organic whole flour in my neighborhood, which is more like $7 for 5 pounds. This is basically $1 a pound, plus it's locally grown. And because it's locally grown, because it was grown within a 500-mile radius of the city, it has used so much less water and fossil fuels just to get here. In addition, it is so much fresher than regular flour, and therefore retains more of the micronutrients in it. When we talk about health, people often wonder, is it better to eat conventional versus, organic versus local? Look, ultimately, when they've done studies, the most important thing is to eat vegetables. If you can only get conventional frozen vegetables, eat those vegetables. If you can only get conventional fresh vegetables, then eat those vegetables. If you can only get organic organic factory farmed vegetables that are fresh and you can afford them, then eat those vegetables. And if you have the ability to get local vegetables and you can find a place where you can get them affordably, that is definitely the best, because even your organic vegetables that are factory farmed and shipped from California and places like that, a pepper that you buy at Whole Foods, an organic pepper from California in New York City, it's covered with wax and it was picked 3 weeks ago. The same kind of pepper, a green bell pepper that you get in the green market, was picked yesterday. And so that shortened time from the moment produce is picked until you eat it, the nutrient level begins to fall in the produce. So if you want the most bang for your buck nutritionally, you want to eat as close as possible to your home. And the shorter you can get that distance and the faster you can get that food onto your plate, the better. And I'm a big proponent of growing herbs on your windowsill. They have the highest levels of, phenols and micronutrients and anti-radicals and all these things. And so, your fresh rosemary from your windowsill is going to be even better than rosemary from the store. So each level, right? But we don't always have the ability to grow everything at home, and we live in Manhattan and it's crazy. So I wanted to make some medicine. I wanted to make some herbal medicine. But I can't grow enough rosemary on my windowsill for the amount of medicine that I need, right? And to buy bunches of rosemary would be kind of expensive because I'm going to need about a pound of rosemary. But I can go and order from Green Market Co. and for $18, I can have locally grown, organic, actually hydroponic, locally grown, organic rosemary that was actually grown by a company that hires vets and things, and is actually doing hydroponic growth on top of buildings, and thereby, also saving space and vertical integration and all this wonderful stuff, right? And $18 a pound is incredible, because usually you buy fresh herbs in the store in those little plastic packs. That's 1/4 of an ounce of rosemary for $3 or $4. There's 28 ounces in a pound, I think. No, 16 ounces in a pound. 16 ounces in a pound. So I just got a lot more than that for $18. And I'll be showing you in later videos how to make it. So how do you get in on this action? If you want to buy and herbs, because you want to make actual herbal tinctures that you can use for your family, or you want to buy 25 pounds of peaches so you can make peach jam this summer to give to your family members, or you want to buy 25 pounds of flour for your house, or a 40-pound bag of locally milled beautiful oatmeal, stone milled cracked oatmeal, and you want to split it with your best friend, right? So how do you do this? Well, it is very, very easy. you're going to email hellogmco@grownyc.org. A sales rep will get back to you in a day or so. They're usually at work Monday through Friday, so, be patient, and they're actual human beings, and don't be mean, because these people are my friends and I worked with them for a long time, and if you're rude to them, I'm going to hear about it. So be nice and polite, and you're going to email hellogmco@grownyc.org, and a sales rep will get back to you, and they will put you on the list. They'll start sending you the email list of what's available when, and they'll walk you through the process and get you all set up with your own little account. They'll tell you where is a good place for them to deliver that's near you, or in some cases, they will deliver directly to you. For example, I have some friends who live in a 5-person arts collective, and I know that they've been planning to start ordering wholesale produce, because then they can just once a week get a whole box of apples for everybody to share. That's great, same thing with lettuce greens and stuff like that, because they have 5 adult humans to feed. It's a lot of people. Now, I don't need to do that, but I do like to make jam. I do like to make chutney. Part of it is for my own family. Part of it is because I also like to give them as gifts for Christmas. And I find a lot of pleasure from making jam. And I find a lot of pleasure from making medicine as well. So, and I love making pancakes and cookies and all that kind of stuff. So, in a 6-month period, I do go through 25 pounds of flour very easily, even when we're not in a pandemic. So that is how you do it. I can't wait to hear what people are going to be making. And I really am excited for you to tune in next week. You'll start to see some videos from the larger order that I made this past a couple of weeks ago. I'm going to be doing a rosemary tincture, oregano oil, and thyme honey. You'll hear mention sometimes of some basil that I bought. I unfortunately overbought, and my physical capability did not keep up with my excitability to make things. So you won't see the basil, but you will see those 3 medicines. Then we're also I'm going to show how I processed a 2 pounds of spinach that I split with a partner of mine. We bought a 4-bag box of spinach, a 4-pound box of spinach from Satter Farms, another local farm, then organic. $13 for 4 pounds of spinach. So we split that, and he took half of it home to make a Korean salad for his family, and I took mine home and turned it into lasagna. So that is it. Hello, GMCO@grownyc.org. Get wholesale local produce and save money. Feed your family. Learn about all kinds of things, and at grownyc.org you can learn about the retail stuff. I'm happy to make a video about it, but you know what? They've got a whole website just full of information for you. Thank you so much for tuning in to Making Culture. Thank you for listening to me ramble on. I am so excited to share more aspects of making culture as I move through my philosophy of making culture and what it means to have a life of making culture, to have a cultured life, and to have a life that improves the culture around you as you move through it. So thanks so much. I can't wait to show you everything we have coming along, and please like, subscribe, and share, and I'll see you next week. Bye.